Well, it's as is every Monday. It's always fun to get in the team room and start a new week and look forward to and need to have a great week of preparation. And certainly, as Brian mentioned it, got a group of seniors. It's their last home game, and a group that you appreciate their journey and all they've gone through. And yet, this week is truly about this team finding a way to get better this week and play against a good Purdue football team.
All two of those seniors are Chryst and Zach Bond. Have you seen those guys take advantage of their senior season, and in what ways have you seen them make the biggest impact this year on the team?
I think they've both, within their own personalities, I think they've had a huge impact on this team. And I've appreciated how they didn't all of a sudden their senior year they turn a switch on, but I think they both put everything they had into every moment. This year I'm talking from first time we got back from winter break and started this and obviously have led and impacted this team on the field, but off the field they've been every bit as valuable to this team, and it's been fun to watch. And I think they're both truly put themselves all into it, but I think they're having a blast with this group, and that's fun to see.
Well, I think after the game Saturday, you talked about spread offenses, that they're all different, even though you can call them spread. How would you describe Brahms' creativity with what he likes to do offensively, and also how aggressive he is?
Yeah, he's. I got a lot of respect for Jeff as a football coach, and as best you can, getting to know him as a person. But I think that you hit the two things. It is very creative, and yet it's the thing I respect and appreciate. It's still, you see the fundamentals, and you see the, it's not just, I saw this play and we're going to run it, and there's, in a different way, makes you defend a lot of the field and have different things off of kind of the base play. I think it's really well designed, and then they're executing it, and that's the combination. I think he does a great job of kind of using, and we've seen it really how he uses the personnel and kind of accordingly to what he has and who he has, and it's again it's a different offense that we have to defend this week, and I think that's why it's important that we have a great week of preparation.
Where have you seen Aaron Cruikshank become a better return man? And with a guy as explosive as he is it sometimes challenging to find ways to potentially get him involved in the offense because of how many other talented players you have there at receiver?
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that he's got an ability, and explosive is a good word for it. And you use him on offense, and yeah, there's times when you'd like to use him more, and yet like the guys that have been getting a lot of snaps too. So I think that's all fair to say. But I've appreciated kind of how he's gone about it and worked, and when he does get his chances, he tries to make the most of them and brings a good energy about it.
Coach, when you look around the Big Ten West, now that Frost got an extension, all the coaches are locked in for a long period of time. What does it say for you personally to have the backing of Barry and the administration? Does it help you as a coach? And also, what does it say about the quality of coaches in the Big Ten West?
I've always felt, privileged to be working for Barry. And then you put that combination working for Coach Alvarez at this university means a ton, right? And I think just by him, when I had an opportunity and got hired as an assistant, I felt that was enough. That if he was going to take you on, and I still feel that same way. And I've always thought that we've had really good coaches, and I think that's part of the challenge and what makes it fun coaching in this league is because there's other really good coaches. Obviously, there's great players in this league, and I think there's really good coaches, and that's where each week it's a challenge, and that's the competitive part of it, and it's fun to be in a competitive environment like that.
Well, kind of a follow-up to Brom. Against Nebraska, I think they were down to their third quarterback, I think a freshman, again, and late in the game. The kid made plays. You're not in their meeting rooms, but just from the outside, what does that tell you about coaching when they can play with a third quarterback and come back to win a game?
Well, and I think what makes plays go is execution. And so, obviously the players, and like you said, it is what's impressive. Not just the starter, but the players can execute. And so, what is coaching? It's, do the players know what to do? And then do they know how to do it? And then can they apply it in a game situation? And I think there's a number of examples, and you see it really kind of throughout the season as they go. And I think that's just, as a coach, you want the film to be, that is what you're coaching. And you want it to look like football and to be executed properly. And when you see a number of different people do it, I think that's a really good sign of that's a well-coached team.
How do you think Jonathan's improved this year?
I think that I do think he has improved, and I think he's I think his understanding of defenses and how we're trying to attack them, I think that's gotten better. I think there's no doubt that he's more confident, and I say confident because you see it in his play, but in the pass protections, in the passing game. And I think there's a lot to be said, too, with how he's handled kind of the maturity part of it, that not every game or every run is that big play, but how he's handled it and gone through it. I think that's what I've been impressed with, is just who he's been throughout this. And I can appreciate it and I understand it, but I'm not living, the world that he's in, and yet the level of consistency and work and kind of joy that he's had and what he's brought to others, I think that's, I would have said last year, the year before, he was good, but I think it's still getting better there. And that's impressive to me.
Kind of touched a little bit on my next question, which was, this could be his last home game. He's got an NFL decision to make.
Right.
We've all seen players where that affected what they did on the field or off the field.
Right.
How do you think, has it affected Jonathan in any way that he has this, this kind of decision to make?
I don't know, and we've had conversations and talked about it before the season, and then kind of made a decision, and that, all right, then let's play this season. That certainly he's smart and he knows, and yet I think that the way he's handled it. When you say has it affected him, I don't think it's negatively affected him. I'm sure. He knows what's there in front of him. But I think that's what I've been impressed with, is when you go to a meeting or you go to practice or in the game, he's truly been in the moment. And I think that's a gift, and I think that speaks to his maturity and I think also his care for this group. And so I can't speak for him on it, but I've loved the way that he's handled himself throughout all this.
George, in the back.
Paul, with the 13 senior class, no matter how big or how small these senior classes have been, what do games like this Saturday mean to you, the final go for the seniors at home?
Well, I think that it's there's no doubt that it's they love, and I think every guy that's gone through appreciates their journey and playing here. And when it is your last time to play in that stadium, I think that's significant. I think there's also a balance to, it's God willing. I mean, we're still going to be with each other, and we've got more games to play. So it's not like an end. It's just it's a moment, right? And I think the moment is as much for the players' families, all those that went through this journey with them. And I think it also can be for the fans, and yet I do know that the best way to enjoy it is by playing your best football. And so I think you got to be careful, and there's a balancing act. You want them always to appreciate the opportunities that they have, because nothing's guaranteed. But it is still about the game, and then what they'll remember and appreciate the most is that they played well. And I think that's the opportunity that they have this week.
Paul, what has Danny Davis done the last few weeks that seems like you guys are turning him a little bit more in a playmaking role in some big situations?
I think it's, we've always felt really good, and Danny's, in the past has made big plays. And I think a lot of it's, does the play out to where you're in position? And, Joe Rudolph has a good, I hope that opportunity finds you, right? You've got to be prepared for those moments, but that you don't know. It could be something as simple as, you've got a play called, and is the coverage the way the coverage is, or does it play? And so that's the kind of the beauty of playing this game, is you don't know when those opportunities come your way. And last couple games they have come his way, and then it's what do you do with those opportunities. But it's not like all of a sudden Danny did something and boy, now we got confidence in him and he's earned the right for it. We've had that for a long time with him and a number of guys.
Jeff? Paul, when we talked about the defensive performance after the game Saturday, you talked about not getting enough hats to the ball, guys not making one-on-one plays, missed tackles. When you reviewed the tape, was there anything else that jumped out at you after you had some time to let it sink in about what some of the issues were, schematic or whatever?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think when you go back and look at the tape and then, talk through it with the coaches, I think like any of it, you could put it into all those buckets, and you have to, right? I mean, you can't. I think it'd be so wrong to say that, boy, the scheme was perfect, but we didn't execute, because maybe then are we asking them to do the right thing, right? And a credit to them, they had a good scheme and it challenged it. And could we have maybe made it a little less, possibly schematically? Could we maybe made a little less of a big play by running our feet on the tackle? Right? I think everyone can own part of it. There's not one where it was all scheme or it was all this player. It's a combination of them.
Paul, circling back to Bond and Orr a little bit, what examples do you think it sets that those two guys throughout their career maybe had to wait behind some other players, and then when they finally got their chance that they're having the season they're having now?
Yeah, I think whatever that does, and I think both went through injuries. I think there's a moment, and I think there's some guys that don't. Everyone has experienced different, but I think both went through injuries where football was taken away for a little bit. And I think what I'm getting to is they value the game and the opportunity. And both came differently. Chryst was, he played a lot early and earlier than Zach. Zach kind of had more your traditional red shirt and then special teams. And so I think my point is I think both throughout their journey, they got to where they valued the opportunity and they valued each rep that they would get, and I think it comes through their experiences, their maturity of it. But it's I think that's where they're similar, even though their paths and their timeline might have been a little different. And this year they've done a great job of just maximizing each and every day. It's been fun to be around.
Jeff? A real minor point, but when you guys go through film review on A.J. Taylor's touchdown catch, he switched the ball from right to left hand to keep it away from that defender. Do you make note of that to guys, to just how that fundamental little thing can maybe prevent the guy stripping the ball late?
I think you're always trying to find coaching points, and then you got to make sure you're doing that not in traffic. I think it's important that they understand what you're saying and showing examples. I think you have to. It may not come up it might be for a running back in that case. You got to coach a lot of the film, but it's you go back and look at it, and so often, the little things do make a big difference. And we could say right now we don't know. Did that make a difference? We don't know, but it's an example, I think, of the little things, how they can become big. And it's Coach Gilmore spends a lot of time, just. When you hear coaches talk a lot about ball security, and yet every guy in the field can own that. But it's, you know, where are you tucking it? Where is the defender? And it takes, I think they all understand it, but to do it is what matters most. And when they do that, you feel good.